I'm Van Sebastian here today, flying solo for this week's Written on the Edge Season 9, Episode 18 interview. I'll be talking with Gordon Blitz and discussing his latest books. So let's get to know our guest. From a young child, Gordon was called a sissy, girlie, fag, queer, and homo. Getting towel whipped, stomach punched, and spit on were part of his world. Being bullied like this made him go into a nice, staid, and stable career in accounting. Gordon didn't find his writer's voice until 2017 when he retired from 40 years of debits and credits, and since then he's become a passionate writing machine. Gordon has published work in Whoa Nelly Press, Wingless Dreamer, Two Hawks Quarterly, the Santa Monica College Journal's Chronicles, and Ongoing Moments. And Wicked Ways. I almost missed one. In addition to the novels we're going to discuss today. So, Gordon, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This is wonderful, and
Our
it
pleasure.
happens to be my birthday today, so it's a nice 72nd birthday. So,
Happy birthday! I wish I had known. We'd have like balloons and streamers going.
oh, that's all right.
Well, congratulations. That's amazing. Happy birthday. Let's tell people like why you turned from numbers to letters. What was
You
the
know,
actual drive?
I
Because publishing is not an easy task.
no, no, and it has very little to do with accounting. So, but no, I like the idea of being able to write a novel, being able to, as a sort of an elder LGBTQ community, getting my perspective across, because I think so many from my generation had, died from AIDS, that my peers are not around. So, as a survivor, I want my words out there. And I, when I was growing up, I felt intimidated, and I had a lover that was a playwright, and he wrote poems, and I felt very intimidated. I was the money bags Blitz, and he was, this professor, and then he died from AIDS in 1989. And then afterwards, I did a little poetry, and eventually, when I retired, someone said, "Oh, there's this course at the Gay and Lesbian Village," and I was gonna, how to tell your story, and just it sort of boomeranged from that, and here I am. I've published tons. I mean, not really tons, but 7 books. So, but today is Harmonic Dissonance, I guess. So.
Well, and you've got one that just came out in March we can discuss too.
Yes, Waverly Place. It's so many of these publishers, people like mysteries
Hmm.
and a series. So this one hopefully will catch on. Someone was telling me, "Well, Gordon, you wrote 3 already? You don't even know if the people are going to like the first one." So anyway, the guy in it is a asexual, retired, a fraud investigator. So I thought it'd be just something interesting. I don't know if people will like it, but I like it.
I will say mysteries do well. That's a very
Yes.
fun genre. So the official title is Murder Times Three,
Yeah.
a
And
Waverly Place
Waverly
Mysteries, the
Place mystery.
series. Yeah,
Yeah.
excellent. Anything else you want to talk about the cast of characters? Because they're a little more diverse than just Riley.
Right. Yes. There's, he goes to this house. It's sort of during a pandemic, and 3 people are found dead. And then there's the guy that's the caretaker named Garrett, and he's the suspect. And Riley is looking for him. Well, all of a sudden, there's some sexual combustibility with this guy, and Riley is no longer asexual. So that's pretty much sort of the plot, and of course, finding out who the murderer is. So
And there's a cat involved.
yes, yes. I know I've been allergic to cats, but I know people love these cats, and I named the cat Divine Miss M. And yeah, and so I'm trying in each of the novels, the cat discovers something, in the backyard, or digging, or, carrying an inhaler or something. So anyway, uh, I, I think it'll another thing that people will enjoy.
Love it. So, one, mystery is not easy to write, so kudos to you too. It sounds like there's some comedy to that, which flexes your writing muscles because your other novel we're going to talk about, Harmonic Dissonance, sounds really serious.
Yeah, there's not too much that's funny in that. So, but the reason that I wrote it is because a friend of mine, Steve Johnson, had told me about the first female justice, uh, and what's her name? Sorry,
We can sidebar.
sidebar, sidebar.
You had it in your
Yes,
Sandra.
okay.
Yep, Sandra Day O'Connor.
Sandra, yeah. So the first female Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, she her husband had dementia, Alzheimer's. When she went to visit him when he would be in this memory care unit, he didn't recognize her, even though they'd been married for 30 or 40 years. And she, he had in this relationship with another woman at the memory care unit. And so, me as a gay man, I wanted to take it a little further. So, in my case, sort of equivalent, not a judge, but she goes to the memory care unit, and her husband of 40 years has fallen in love with another guy. And so the the neat thing about this is that so I'm not only dealing with infidelity, but also that maybe she's wondering if her husband is closeted, even though they've had a happy marriage.
Hmm.
So I like the idea of mixing those things up. And it's interesting, when I wrote it, I I had no idea that the wife was going to be the protagonist. And I like this, I know a lot of people they plan out everything. I just sort of freewheeling on this stuff. So
Oh.
I was going to say that music is a very important part of the book. And and the reason I included that is because with Alzheimer's, that's one of the last things that people lose up until they're completely sort of losing their mind. Music brings back memories, and I think it's important for all of us. Music is an important part when you're growing up, when
Hmm.
your first, boyfriend or girlfriend, and when you break up. And so I wanted to have that theme running through it. So you have to
Nice.
be so careful these days. So I can only have the name of the song. I can't have any lyrics.
Right.
You do this research and some say, oh, well, you could have a few words. So it's anyway.
So there's a lot to unpack there. Um, the first one I kind of want to touch on is probably the least important of them, but sexuality is fluid over the course of our lives. I mean, who we like, how we like them, that changes. And your novel really digs into that. And I can see her question, the wife's questioning, has he always been like this? Is this new? Is this because he's forgotten elements of himself that this is brand new? I mean,
Yeah.
that's, timeless, really.
And sort of this thing about that in I don't know, opposites attract, but the guy that he has this relationship is tall and thin, similar to him. So it's
Mhm.
sort of a reflection. Um, and it is interesting how she thinks back in events in her life. They go to a nude beach, and she's thinking, oh, well, he's frolicking, she's having such a good time. She's overweight and she didn't go in the water. So it's just I like the idea of touching on those aspects.
Can I ask if the other man is married, if he's gay, if
Yes, the other man is married, so he's in a relationship. And what happens is, I don't know if this is a cliche, but he what happens is the two people that don't have Alzheimer's, the husband and the wife, they meet at the memory care unit, and they sort of form some sort of relationship because they're both sort of coping with the same thing. Of course, they're angry and they're thinking that, the husband, whatever, is, corrupted the other husband. And there's a line in the book where the gay man says that as a woman, the fact that she doesn't have to compete with another woman
Mhm.
that it should be easier because the gay man is pissed off because his lover has picked another man over him. So
Yeah, that is tough.
yeah,
So to sort of bring this full circle to what you said at the beginning about you being an elder in the tribe, you're also touching on an issue that LGBT culture kind of glosses over, and that's aging.
yeah,
Um,
it,
it
it's
is super important that we have these stories too, because guess what? We're not going anywhere. We are getting older.
yeah,
So,
and
no, please go ahead.
no, no, I mean, and there's still, especially sometimes in the gay communities, prejudice, against, elders. So it's
Mhm.
rough getting older, even if you have a husband, so
Always is. And then, of course, you touched on the mental health side of things as well.
yeah.
And this is not one that can be easily counseled away.
No, 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 it's difficult. It's not curable,
Mhm.
and but but there's hope, that eventually there'll be some kind of cure. But yeah, it still can be harder for an elder, in the LGBTQ community.
Mhm.
We're sort of still pushed aside. Luckily, I live here in Los Angeles, so it's a little bit better than the rest of the country. But
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, marriage equality being codified at the federal level to say the states get to decide, while a win still meant that there are going to be hard states.
yeah, yeah. So
Yep,
that's true.
very
Um,
much. All right. Is there anything about either book you want people to know that I didn't think to ask?
um, trying to think. Um, well, I always bring parts of my life into these books. It's funny, my husband, he's an attorney, and when I have him read the books, he says, "Is nothing sacred?" Because there'll be stuff that sort of refers to him. I try to keep it usually in a good light, but
Yep.
but I think all authors do that.
Yeah.
Um, when I first started writing, started writing memoir, of my whole life,
Hmm.
and that was a good way to get my feet wet to try to tell it in a way that I'm able to hook people by chapters with a beginning, middle, and end. And then all this stuff about showing and telling. I think that background helped me enormously becoming a novelist.
Right. Well,
Um,
and what a great way to break the people into your life into the fact that they're going to be in a book whether they want to or not.
right.
It's expected with a memoir.
Exactly. And so sometimes, so then I got, bored writing about myself. That was another reason why I went into writing novels. So,
Perfect. All right. Are you ready for my get to know you questions?
yes.
All right. So 2024 was the year of questions our audience wanted us to ask. So, first one, what is your favorite writing snack or drink?
Right now it's ginger beer.
Ooh,
I
nice.
really like that, especially when it's strong and it like percolates through your whole mouth. So,
Uh-huh. Yep, that sweet, cool, peppery. Yep.
yes, and I'm always surprised that I go into these bars and they have it. It seems, I guess other people like it besides me. So.
Hmm. What books did you grow up reading?
I started with the typical classics, Dickens and Les Miserables and To Kill a Mockingbird. And then, so I was growing up in the 50s and the 60s. And then the gay books, I really couldn't stop reading, the Lord Won't Mind, Front Runner, anything that had a gay or lesbian character.
Nice.
So I like this author, Felice Picano. He's written a lot of mysteries, and
Hmm.
um, I sort of discovered him before he sort of came out, which is so thrilling. You read this author, and then all of a sudden, oh my God, he's gay or whatever. So anyway, I
Love
like
it.
him.
All right. Well, who's been the biggest supporter of your writing?
Um, Well, I mean, I should say my husband, of course, but I have this friend. I go to LGBTQ temple called Beth Haim Hadashim, and it's the oldest temple in the universe. And I met this man, Michael Maine, and we became friends. And I don't, in the 90s, all of a sudden, I don't know, after I retired, I must have said, I knew he was sort of artistic. Could he help me with a cover on my book? Um, and so he did that. And then I sent him a copy of my first book. And he said, Gordon, there's some typos in there and there's stuff that's not clear and you're a bit of a diva. And so he said, why don't I edit it? Well, you can't imagine. This guy has edited all my books. He goes line by line.
Wow.
It is priceless. And we have such a good relationship. And, as we go along, he gets braver and braver to tell me that this stinks or whatever, and it needs to be worked. So anyway, and he goes through them twice. So he is my ultimate supporter.
That's amazing. Nice shout
Yeah.
out too. Well, are you a morning person or a night owl?
Morning, morning. Very disciplined. I write for a couple hours every morning, and somehow, as long as I don't feel intimidated, a novel comes, in 5 months. Just writing 2 hours a day. I know people, that freak out, say, "Oh my God, how am I going to complete a novel?" So anyway, uh, those morning hours are productive.
You know what I love about mornings? It's quiet because all the cranky people are still sleeping. That's just me though. All
Right.
right. What is your favorite hobby outside of writing?
Um, I don't know. When I was younger, I used to collect miniature pigs. I don't know if you call that really a hobby, but
It's like, are you talking ceramic statues or actual
yes,
pigs?
the
Okay.
ceramic glass, all the different. Oh, well, you think I was referring to people? Or no, no.
Well, no, no. I live in Wisconsin, so I'm used to farm
Oh,
animals.
oh, when we were in Vietnam, that was another thing I was going to say. Anytime I've gone on vacation, I try to use those in a novel. But there was at one point we were in Sapa, and this gigantic boar was coming towards us, but it was so cute. I love the idea that they have these little feminine, teeny legs, and anyway, so um, yeah, and I love reading, and the only exercise I get is walking. I try to walk like 10,000 steps a day. So,
Nice.
so,
Nice. Well, has writing and publishing changed the way you see yourself?
um, it's been cathartic and it's been, especially with the memoir part, just looking back, my first lover dying of AIDS and the fact that I remained negative and that survivor thing. And there's a little bit of some shame about just the way the relationship ended and how the grieving process. And so all that came up and try not to make it into like a therapy session, but yeah, that a lot of that came through. And I guess I used some of that, that his cheating a little bit related to harmonic dissonance. It's all part of that.
Right.
Of how I was 21 when we got together, so I was like a child bride,
Hmm.
and so he died when I was 35, and so I really hadn't been around. I hadn't really matured. It was I don't call me immature. I mean, having to take care of someone who has AIDS for 2 years, you need a certain amount of maturity.
Right.
But yeah, I going through all that and then writing about it has been amazing, amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say also, you reinvented yourself from accountant to writer, so
Well, yes,
there's
and
that too.
especially, you know, I didn't plan this. Some people, well, they worry about, well, what are they going to do when they retire? And I wasn't really thinking about that.
Hmm.
I don't think I ever thought, well, I'm going to write a novel. I just sort of fell into it. I mean, I've done comedy, stand-up comedy. I never thought, being up on stage and telling jokes and being vulnerable. And I do love reading from my books. And, um, I think I do a good job of it. So
Well, yeah, if you get stage practice.
I yes, definitely,
Exactly. Nice.
definitely.
All right. Well, if you were to write a spin-off about one of your side characters, which one would you pick?
Well, I mean, there's a there's an asexual character in Harmonic Dissonance, Brian, and I think that might make an interesting, I don't know about sequel. I was talking to someone that for some reason books never have sequels
Hmm.
um, compared to no, I'm sorry. Oh, never mind. Sidebar. Let's leave that.
Okay.
Right.
All right. And well, so my next question, I think you kind of answered in reverse. The question is, have you ever traveled as research for a book? But I think you said you were inspired by your travels.
Right. The trip to Vietnam, it was a 3 week trip and it was in 2008. And my husband, I mean, we'd been together for 10 years at that point. So we call it sort of like a pre-honeymoon because we ended up getting married in 2008, that window of before Prop 8 hit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that so that trip was important. But we've been to I've used stuff from Australia and different places in the States. So yeah, it's a nice. Sometimes my editor Michael will say, "Gordon, you don't have to show off about going into so much detail about these places." So he knows me too well. So
But you need enough to paint the picture.
yes, exactly.
Perfect. Final question. How do you celebrate when you finish a book?
I wish I could tell you something exciting, but no,
We're
I
hearing
don't.
that a lot.
I know. I I think the best part is when you have this book in front of you and you hold it and you know that you've written it and there are times when I read these words that I've written and I say, did I really write that? I mean, it's just um I don't call it brilliant or whatever, but it's just, when you're in the midst of doing it, you're so close to it, you don't always feel, I mean, I like writing, but you don't always feel that joy. But when it's done and you have it in your hands, um, there's something just very spiritual, magical to me. So that's enough of a celebration.
I love it. Well, you
So,
made it through our list.
oh, good. Good.
So I know you are probably in the middle of or early promotion for Murder Times 3.
Yes,
Do you have
I
any
I
upcoming
do.
events you want to announce for people?
Um, I just do stuff on social media and Instagram, Facebook. Uh, you know, I the one great thing about self-publishing is that you have so much control. I'm able to have, they have these sort of 5 days of free giveaway books. And
Hmm.
so you know, some part of my accounting stuff comes back. Seeing it as number one and promoting it that way is just a thrill. So,
Excellent.
um, and I haven't even brought up that I'm doing playwriting on top of this. And this last year, the play that I wrote, something I took from my memoir called Reflections, actually got picked for this group. It's the Kennedy Center American Theater Festival,
Nice.
and it was in Las Vegas,
Yeah.
and I was very excited. I went there. They gave me all the actors, and there was a reading of it. So that was amazing. Wasn't again, this was something I never expected. So I've been doing a little more playwriting. Dialogue seems to be my strong suit, and so I've adapted some of my books into 10-minute plays or full-length plays. It's a lot of fun.
Love it. And you said best place for people to follow you is Facebook, Instagram. Are you on Twitter as well?
Yeah, not so much Twitter anymore.
Okay.
So, well,
All
it's
right.
it's, it's X now or whatever it is.
I've been calling it TwitX, but
Right. Oh, and I made these TikTok videos, so they're kind of goofy, but they're fun to look at.
send me the link. So I'll include your social media links with this episode. So send me that TikTok
Oh,
link. I've got Facebook and Instagram already.
Okay, okay, cool.
So send me that link.
I
All right.
will. All right.
Any final words of wisdom?
No, not really. I've enjoyed doing this, and it's an incredible birthday present. I've been dealing with some health issues, and this is just cheering me up so much. And thank you so much. And I've been waiting. I've been waiting. Has it been a 9 month wait or
I
something?
know. I'm so sorry.
No, no, no. I mean, it's good. I'm glad. I mean, not, but yeah, that's wonderful. So,
Yeah, it is good and bad. You know, we get a lot of new ears on our stuff because so many people want to be on the show, and promoters heard about us, and so they're sending us their talent. And so
right.
you're getting like, book promoters and stuff sending us their authors, which is great. But it also
Yeah.
means our waitlist backs up. Well, I'm glad you picked your birthday.
Yes. So,
That makes me very happy.
good, good, good.
All right,
So,
folks, we'd like to extend a huge thank you to Gordon Blitz for being with us today. Gordon, thank you so much.
thank you. Thank you.
Our pleasure. All right, we at Written on the Edge are proud to introduce you to new media by queer content creators. So if you enjoy learning about new artists or hearing our thoughts on entertainment media, please like and subscribe so you get the alerts for new episodes. The show is produced by Rogue Ravens Media. For our disclaimers, links to social media, our listen stations, or to sign up as a guest, visit www.rotepodcast.com. Tune in next week for your queer media fix.
Oh, what's that? Closing time. The bums rush in melody, dear.